So we'll continue our discussion about penicillins today. Now, before we get into it, I would like to show you this thing, the classification for penicillins. So there are several ways of classifying penicillins as such. The one mentioned to you in your portion might include sources, but you can classify it based on routes of administration, or you can classify based on spectrum, what type of bacteria they cover, and to what range they cover. Narrow spectrum will be those antibiotics that will only cover very few bacteria, whereas broad spectrum, intermediate spectrum, and extended spectrum will, it will become larger and larger. The spectrum will become larger, or the number of bacteria that they cover, or the number of bacteria they can be used against, will increase. Okay, now there are some specific penicillins which are resistant to enzymes as well. Now, as such, you will find mutated bacteria. Okay, in nature, there are several mutated bacteria which are able to produce certain enzymes. Now, those enzymes are mainly of two types, two important enzymes. One is beta lactamase, and the other is penicillinase. Okay, we'll go over penicillinase first. Now, penicillinase is an enzyme that can directly inhibit or it can directly destroy penicillins. So whenever you have a let's suppose you have a staphylococcal infection. Okay, generally staphylococci, the new cases, new variants of staphylococci, they are able to produce penicillinase enzyme. Because of that, what happens is penicillin will not be able to work properly, because it will break the beta lactam and it will inactivate penicillins. So you will have to give drugs which are resistant to penicillinase, and there is another enzyme called beta lactamase. Same case. If a bacteria is releasing, or if a bacteria is producing beta lactamase, certain penicillins will not work with them. You will have to either give beta lactamase resistant penicillins, or you will have to give another drug. Okay, beta lactam inhibitors बोल के रहते हैं, they are not true penicillins, but they help in the function of penicillins. Okay, so we'll go over each of these drugs which are mentioned in the classification. Now, as many as possible rather than each of each. Now, the first kind, natural penicillins. Okay, the primary example in natural penicillins will be penicillin G. Okay, so we have penicillin G. This is also represented as PNG. Okay, the spectrum of penicillin G is not big. It is a very narrow spectrum penicillin, in the sense that it can only work against a few gram-positive cocci and bacilli, okay, and very few gram-negative cocci. You can use it on streptococci, pneumococci, gonococci, meningococci, bacillus anthracis. You can use them against Clostridia, Listeria, and spirochetes. Okay, other than that, penicillin G will not work as such. And another disadvantage of this is it is not resistant to penicillinase. Okay, it will get destroyed by penicillinase. So not resistant to penicillinase. Okay, now because of that, penicillin G is not used as much nowadays as it used to be. Now that bacteria have started to produce penicillinase, if you give penicillin G in such a bacteria, it will not work. It will simply destroy the antibiotic, and antibiotic will not be able to work. As such, other than this problem, there are some specific pharmacokinetics of this drug as well. Now, penicillin G gets destroyed by gastric juice, so you cannot give it orally. Okay, it'll food also interferes with the absorption of penicillin G. Generally, penicillin G is only given IV. Okay, so gastric juice or gastric acid destroys this drug, meaning oral administration is useless. If you do give it uh, food, you should make sure that the patient should not have food for at least 2 hours. Okay, you have to give it 2 hours before food or 2 hours after food. Okay, not during food. Okay, it will inhibit, or it will interfere with the absorption of the drug. Also, the T half will be very short in that case. It will be only 30 minutes as such. Another thing is that there is one very particular interaction of penicillin G. If a patient is on probenecid, is a drug that is given to decrease uric acid levels in the body. Okay, they are called uricosuric drugs. Whenever, especially in gout, देते. ठीक है, अगर one patient has gout and they have increased amount of uric acid, probenecid is one of the drugs that you give. If you give probenecid and penicillin together, probenecid generally blocks renal tubular secretion of penicillin, because of which duration of action of penicillins will prolong and it can lead to toxicity. As such, the main adverse effect or main problem with penicillin G or as such any penicillins will be hypersensitivity. Okay, so AD may, the first one will be hypersensitivity. Before giving any penicillin, because the dose of penicillins that you give is in million units, 1.2 million units. Generally for streptococcal respiratory infections, the dose of penicillin G is around 1.2 million units. Okay, you give intramuscular 1 time a day. Now, instead of directly giving the drug, you should always make sure that you do a skin test or a allergy test before you administer penicillin. You take 1 or 2 units of the drug, very small quantity of the drug, and you inject it in the skin of the patient and you wait for a while. Okay, if the patient is not having an allergic reaction at that point of time, then you can give penicillin. But still, there might be patients who do not respond to 1 or 2 units of penicillins, but they will have hypersensitivity to normal dose. Matlab, normal dose, which is 1.2 million units, if you give that much dose, they might have a allergic reaction, severe allergic reaction. In such conditions, what you have to do is, whenever you are giving penicillin G, or as such, whenever you are giving any penicillins, make sure that you keep a what you call adrenaline ready. Okay, in case there is an anaphylactic reaction, make sure if there is anaphylaxis, make sure that you have adrenaline ready. In case the patient is undergoing an anaphylactic reaction, immediately administer adrenaline whenever you are giving penicillins. Okay, this drug can also cause local pain. Okay, local pain on the injection site, local injection site pain. Okay. Other than that, there can be CNS toxicity. Okay. Uh, this pain in your site of this thing injection, it sometimes can also cause thrombophlebitis. Okay, local thrombophlebitis, inflammation of the blood vessel in which you are giving it. CNS toxicity will translate as mental confusion, muscle twitching. Some patients might have convulsions. Okay, and if you give a very large dose of penicillins, coma might occur. Okay, especially if doses of uh, coma occurs if greater than 20 million units is given or is injected. Okay, normal doses are much lower than this. So this is about some of the adverse effects that are associated with this. Now you have to be careful of another adverse effect called Jarisch-Herxheimer reaction. It is rare, but if a patient of syphilis presents, secondary syphilis specifically, in them, if you are giving penicillins, the patient might have myalgia, they might have shivering, and they will have vascular collapse. Okay, this specifically happens in secondary syphilis patients. So be careful when you're giving penicillins. I would say completely avoid penicillins in patients with secondary syphilis. Now, where you can use this, you can use penicillins or specifically penicillin G in case of streptococcal infections. You can use them in meningococcal infections. You can use it in staphylococcus infections. You can use them in diphtheria or pulmonary anaerobic bacteria. Okay, you can sometimes also use it in tetanus and gas gangrene. Okay, PNG is the drug of choice for gas gangrene. Okay, you can also use it prophylactically in the sense for prevention, for rheumatic fever or gonorrhea or valvular heart disease. ये पूरों के लिए you can use it. Okay. Now, specific disadvantages of natural penicillins. Obviously, natural penicillins की बात करना बोला तो later on synthetic penicillins were made. Okay, the reason was that natural penicillins had some very specific disadvantages. So disadvantages of natural penicillins. Now these include narrow spectrum. Its spectrum is very, very low, so you cannot give it for several bacterial infections. It is not effective orally. As I told you, it gets destroyed by gastric acid, so it is not effective orally. Even if you do give it orally, it will not work properly. It is susceptible to penicillinase. Okay, it can get destroyed by bacteria that is able to produce penicillinase, something like staphylococci, and there is risk of hypersensitivity. Risk of hypersensitivity. Though all penicillins have this risk, penicillin G specifically has a very high risk of creating hypersensitivity or inducing hypersensitivity in a patient. Because of this reason, semi-synthetic penicillins were made. Okay, now semi-synthetic penicillins can be divided into a few groups or categories. So semi-synthetic penicillins may, the primary one or the first one that will come is acid resistant penicillins. At that point of time, penicillinase was a big problem for a lot of people, because of which at that time beta lactamase enzyme utna nahi aaya tha, but penicillinase was there. So what they did was they made antibiotics, or they made penicillins which are specifically resistant to penicillinase. One drug which comes into this category is penicillin V. Okay, this is an acid stable drug that can be given orally as well. Okay, it will be able to sustain acids, and meaning it can sustain your gastric acid, and it can be used for streptococcal infection. It can be used in case of pharyngitis, sinusitis, and trench mouth. Okay, normally the dose of oral dose of penicillin V that is given is around 250-500 mg 4 times a day. Okay, so that was the first semi-synthetic drug. Then we have another class called specific penicillinase resistant penicillins. These are very, very good. Even the acid resistant penicillins are somewhat resistant to penicillinase. They're not completely resistant. They are more towards acid. Penicillinase resistant penicillins are specifically made only for penicillinase. Okay? For bacteria that are producing penicillinase. These will include cloxacillin, dicloxacillin, cloxacillin, methicillin, oxacillin, and nafcillin. Okay? So these are penicillinase resistant penicillins, but methicillin is destroyed by gastric juices. You cannot give it orally, you only have to give it parenterally. You can give cloxacillin orally. Nafcillin is highly resistant to penicillinase, and it is also useful for non-penicillinase producing organisms. As such, it requires parenteral administration because of unreliable absorption through gut. Okay, its absorption is not exactly proper. Nafcillin. You can use these for staphylococci, specifically for staphylococci. You can also use it in combination with vancomycin. Okay, especially methicillin resistant strains that are developing, that you have to use for that you'll have to use vancomycin. Vancomycin is a special type of antibiotic that you'll eventually learn about. But nowadays there are specific bacteria called MRSA. Okay, I'm sure you must have heard about it. Methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus. We have a lot of them. There is MRSA, there is VRSA, vancomycin resistant Staphylococcus aureus. For MRSA, you can use vancomycin, but for VRSA, you'll have to use linezolid or something else. Okay. In any case, you'll understand them as we keep going about antibiotics. That is the second category. Then the third category, extended spectrum. Extended spectrum penicillins. अब इसमें थोड़े categories आते हैं, in the sense that extended spectrum as such has aminopenicillins. It will also have some specific class called anti-pseudomonal penicillins. Now, in some textbooks, you will find anti-pseudomonal penicillins grouped in extended spectrum. In some textbooks, you will find them completely different. Okay, so here I will give you it differently. यहाँ पर extended spectrum में let's include our main drug, which is ampicillin. Okay, you will have ampicillin, amoxicillin. One second. Right. You have in this mainly ampicillin, that is one of the best one. You have amoxicillin, bacampicillin, all of them are extended spectrum drugs. These are also called aminopenicillins. Okay, aminopenicillins are extended spectrum penicillins, both are the same. Now, as such, the antibacterial spectrum of aminopenicillins or ampicillin specifically is quite good. It can be used both for gram-positive and gram-negative organisms, including you can use it for streptococcus, you can use it for meningococcus, pneumococcus, Haemophilus influenza, you can use it for E. coli. So it can be used in diarrhea and dysentery. It can be used in Proteus infections or Salmonella, Shigella, and Klebsiella. All of these are sensitive to ampicillin. Okay, but recently ampicillin resistance has started to develop. Okay, especially ampicillin is given with another particular class of drugs called beta lactamase inhibitors. We'll discuss about what are beta lactamase inhibitors in a bit, but they're not exactly true penicillins. Okay, ampicillin is, but because resistance is developing, you'll have to add another drug to it. Okay, these drugs are well absorbed orally. The ampicillin specifically is well absorbed orally. You can give it oral dose. Food interferes with absorption though, so make sure that you give it 2 hours after food, 2 to 3 hours after food, or you can give it before food as well. And the main route of excretion for ampicillin is kidneys. As such, the main adverse effects with ampicillin is diarrhea. It will irritate your gut, and it can lead to diarrhea. Sometimes some patients are also have skin rashes, quite common. Okay, ampicillin causes both diarrhea and skin rashes. You can use it for respiratory tract infections, bronchitis, sinusitis, otitis media, वो पूरों के लिए. You can use it for UTI. You can use it for meningitis, typhoid, septicemia. Septicemia specifically due to gram-negative bacteria. उसके अंदर you can give IV ampicillin along with an aminoglycoside. Aminoglycoside is another type of antibiotic, but these go very well. You can also use it for bacterial endocarditis. Okay, we've already studied about endocarditis. Specifically, bacterial endocarditis के against ये बहुत अच्छा है. Okay. Now, coming to the next type, 4, we have anti-pseudomonal penicillins. Okay, a few strains of Pseudomonas started to become very resistant to other penicillins. Because of that reason, anti-pseudomonal penicillins were made. Now, anti-pseudomonal penicillins will have two different types as such. You have carboxy penicillins in this. So carboxy penicillins, the main drug will be carbenicillin, and we have iridopenicillins. One very important drug in this, piperacillin. Okay, piperacillin is said to be the broadest spectrum amongst all of penicillins. Okay, this is kind of a latest drug, and it has very good spectrum amongst all penicillins. As such, if we talk about carbenicillin, it has additional activity against gram-positive and gram-negative organisms, effective against Pseudomonas aeruginosa and Proteus. Okay, it is generally given parenterally, and the dose that you give of carbenicillin is around 2 to 5 mg 4 times a day. You can give it either IM or IV, intramuscular or intravenous. Okay. There is one particular type of carbenicillin called carbenicillin indanil, sorry, that can be given orally. Okay. Even though carbenicillin is being given IV, you can give that particular strain or variant of carbenicillin orally. There is another drug called ticarcillin that will come under carboxy penicillins. It is an analog of carbenicillin, meaning ticarcillin is made from carbenicillin. Okay, its name is ticarcillin. Okay, here ticarcillin क्या है? It has better activity than carbenicillin than Pseudomonas on Pseudomonas. Okay, Pseudomonas aeruginosa. And if you combine it with aminoglycoside, there is something called synergism that occurs. Okay, if you remember general pharmacology, we had discussed about synergism. Synergism is a property wherein if you give drug 1 and drug 2, let's suppose I'm giving drug 1 plus drug 2, their individual efficacies will be increased because of each other's effects. So one will enhance the activity of 2 and 2 will enhance the activity of 1. This is called synergism, okay, or it is called synergy. Because of this, you will have a chance of decreasing the dose of both of these drugs, decreasing the chance of adverse effects as well. Okay, that is why ticarcillin, which is given with an aminoglycoside, is generally given with a decreased dose. Okay, it will show you synergism, because of which it is very helpful. Once again, right. So coming to adverse effects, carbonicillin as such is used as a sodium salt. Okay, so if you give higher doses of carbonicillin, it can lead to edema and congestive cardiac failure. Be careful when giving it in cardiovascular disease patients. Okay, it might also cause abnormal platelet aggregation. So the chances of thrombosis are quite high with carbonicillin. Now coming to uridopenicillin, the main drug that we'll be discussing is piperacillin. Now piperacillin, as I told you, is one of the best drugs, one of the broadest spectrum drugs that you find in penicillins. Okay, it will cross BBB, because of which you can give it for meningitis as well. Okay, and the normal dose of piperacillin that you generally give is around 3 to 4 grams per day. You can give it 4 to 6 times a day. Okay, so it is 4 to 6 hourly. You can give 4 to 6 times a day, depending on the condition of the patient. Piperacillin is indicated in case of severe infection, especially due to pseudomonas. Okay, severe pseudomonal infections, pulmonary or other systemic infections, mein piperacillin is very very good. Now coming to the last class, which is beta lactamase inhibitors. Now, if you remember, I told you about one particular enzyme called penicillinase. Penicillinase is an enzyme that is secreted by certain bacteria, because of which penicillins will be broken down. For that reason, we made semi-synthetic penicillins, and penicillinase resistant penicillins came into picture. Now later on, there were bacteria that started to make beta lactamase enzyme. Okay, the bacteria itself started producing beta lactamase. Now all of these beta lactam antibiotics, you take penicillins, monobactams, cephalosporins, any one of them, they have something called a beta lactam ring in their structure. This beta lactamase enzyme can break this ring. Okay, because of which what will happen is, if you give it to a beta lactamase positive bacteria, it will essentially break it down. Okay, uh, so your E. coli, staphylococci, gonococci, Haemophilus influenza, all of these are able to produce beta lactamase, new strains of these. Because of which, for a point of time, what happened is, the previously the drugs that were used, these penicillins, semi-synthetic penicillins that were being used, they became somewhat ineffective. Now in their normal structure, they have this ring. If this ring is breaking down, that penicillin will not be able to work properly. Okay, that is happening because of this particular beta lactamase enzyme, because of which there are certain drugs called beta lactamase inhibitors. They will directly go and inhibit that enzyme which is produced by the bacteria, because of which your penicillin can work. So let's suppose this is the bacteria, it is able to produce beta lactamase. Okay, beta lactamase enzyme, whenever you are giving a penicillin with it, this beta lactamase is destroying penicillin. So what I am doing is, I am giving an extra drug with penicillins. Those are beta lactamase inhibitors. I'll just write it here, BL inhibitors. Okay. If you give this beta lactamase inhibitors, it will not have any effect on the bacteria as such. It will not kill the bacteria. It will simply stop the activity of this enzyme. If this enzyme is stopped, or the activity of this enzyme is stopped, your penicillin can act on the bacteria and kill it. Okay, that is the mechanism of action, or that is the reason why beta lactamase inhibitors are used. Now generally beta lactamase inhibitors are given in combination with certain antibiotics. So directly beta lactamase inhibitors will include clavulanic acid, you have sulbactam, tazobactam, avibactam, ठीक है, और थोड़े हैं, but these are the commonly used ones. As such, clavulanic acid is used in combination with ticarcillin. You can also use in combination with amoxicillin. So you will generally get a drug of amoxicillin, clavulinate बोल के मिलता साथ में, amoxiclav that you find, that is amoxicillin clavulanic acid given together. Okay, sulbactam is generally given with ampicillin. Ampicillin sulbactam is used for pelvic infections. It's used parenterally. Tazobactam is something that is given with piperacillin. Piperacillin, tazobactam, piptaz बोल के आता या zocin बोल के आता. That is the combination that you see. Piperacillin and tazobactam being given together. ठीक है? So this is about penicillins. I hope you understood what is penicillins, and if you have doubts, please let me know. Naito will get into cephalosporins. Next class will start cephalosporins. You also find augmentin. Augmentin बोल के बहुत common है एक drug. That is basically the combination of amoxicillin and clavulanic acid. You find amoxiclav, you find augmentin, both of them pretty common. ठीक है? Okay. If you don't have any doubts, then